Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Tuesday, May the 26th in the year of our Lord, 2015, and it is the start of a new week, the last full week of the month of May as we head into June. I know many of you probably had, you had yesterday off. I know I had yesterday off, and, spent a lot of time with, just being a person, being an American, if you will. Simply because, because I could, and I can, and you should, because you can and should. But I know there's a lot of stuff that was going on back over the weekend. Things that, I know there's the news for ISIS and everything, but mostly it should have been about the wonderful Veterans Day, Memorial Day ceremonies that took place all across the country. That was some beautiful stuff for me to see as well as hear about. And because, the military has a very special place in my heart. Always has, always will. For a number of reasons. Nothing, of course, one, because my father served for a very long period of time. But that's not the only reason. The other reasons is because they're the ones that allow us to be free. Without the military, you can hang it up. You're not going to, ISIS and everybody else and Germans and Japanese and everybody else would be running rampant through this country whenever they wanted to. It's our military that has always said no and stopped them. And this whole notion that we have Americans out there that don't like the military is really beyond me. I do not understand it. I just can't get past that. I can never fully, truly get why they would dislike the military so. It doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, liberals never really make any sense at all. Later in about the bottom of this half hour, we have some special guests coming up on the program. I know today has been like a blizzard of a day for me, getting back and you got to catch up from having a day off and that kind of thing. But also today down in Boston, speaking of the military, we had the Blue Angels. Now, if you've never seen the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels are Navy and the Thunderbirds are Air Force, and the Canadians have the Snowbirds. You got to understand, if you've never seen it, it's hard to explain what these men and women now do in these fighter aircraft, make them do what they do in such an aerial acrobatic ballet type of situation. I never tire of seeing them. Never tire. No, yes, I know that there's a German flying team, and there's a French flying team, and there's an Italian flying team, and then I think there's a British flying team, as well as the Canadian team called the Snowbirds. I'm a little partial. I don't think there's anything better than the Thunderbirds. the Air Force aerial acrobat team. Amazing stuff. But over here today, the Navy's aerial acrobatic team, the Blue Angels, were in town. And traffic was all over the place. I am sure it's because people were all over the place trying to get pictures and to see them and all that kind of stuff. And that's okay. Yeah, I'm glad that we have something that people can reach out to and experience with the military, other than knowing that the only thing that the military really is good for is for breaking things and killing people. Well, that's what they're very good at. Military is very, very good at breaking things. And that's what they're designed to do. They're basically. I know that our military does a lot of different things besides breaking things. And you don't have to say breaking things; you can say blow things up. But you wouldn't be far from the truth in that one. But that's that's what they're there for. They're there to protect you and I from those from around us, around the world, that would do us harm. And in order for them to protect us so we can live the lives that we want to live, they have to break things and kill people. That's the nature of warfare on this planet. Sorry to say, but that is the nature of warfare on this planet. So, you may not like it. You may like it. I don't particularly, it doesn't matter, but that's just what they're here for. To protect you and me, so we can go about our daily lives without having to worry about ISIS invading, without USSR or Russia invading, without China invading, without whoever doesn't like us invading us. And plain and simple. Look, it even allows us, I don't drink a lot of soda, but military allows us to do things like enjoy a soda. What's on the shelf? It seems like it's on the shelf permanently now. It was supposed to be only temporary. Now, I don't drink a lot of soda. I really don't. It's a rare occasion. But I got to tell you, I like the Pepsi Cola made with real sugar. And I know it sounds like a free spot, like I'm giving him a free. But you know what? It tastes different from the regular quote unquote Pepsi of today. Look, I just say stay away from that corn syrup stuff. It's not good for you. It really is. I know they've tried to say that it was just as good as sugar. It's not, in my book, it's not just as good as sugar. It doesn't taste the same. I can taste the difference between Pepsi Cola made with real sugar and regular Pepsi. There is a distinct difference. You know the difference. There is nothing. And it's the same with all those other artificial or sweetener substitutes like stevia. They're not the same as sugar. They're not. And I don't eat a lot of sugar or drink a lot of sugary types of things because too much sugar is not good for you. And unlike what we used to have been told, if you eat too much sugar, you're going to get diabetes. That's not true either. But I just don't eat a lot of sugar because it's not good for you. It's not. But neither is these artificial chemical substitutes. They're not good for you. And there is some evidence to suggest that some of these other alternatives in the kind of quantities that we eat sugar are also not very good for you. So, the sweet stuff, take it easy on the sweet stuff. That's all I can say about that. But, take it easy on the sweet stuff. Now, I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. It is the unofficial, official, or it's the official, unofficial start of the summer season, however you look at it. And that means a lot of backyard barbecues, and maybe you live in a small town or you live in a neighborhood where people like to gather a lot and do whatever you do during the summer. Maybe you like to vacation. I don't know where you go on vacation. Anywhere you want, as long as you can afford to go. That's fine with me. Yeah, I say, find places that you can visit here across this land before you go overseas or outside of the country. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Hey, I got some news for you. It's about the show. I don't think I've announced it yet, but TopTalkRadio.com has just listed me among one of the top 100 conservative talk show hosts out there. And there are a lot. I didn't you know, I mean, that puts me in the, and yeah, I know it's top 100, but that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of like being, remember the Billboard, the top 40? But the Billboard always, if you read the magazine or the newspaper that came out, it was always the Billboard Top 100. Now, the radio show that with Casey Kasem was always top 40, because that's all they had the time for, was to do for. I mean, it was like 3 hours long as it is for top 40, 3 or 4 hours. But they always listed it by the top 100. So this Top Talk has done the same thing. And so that puts me, you know, in their ranking system, that puts me, you know, on this, well, on the same page in ranking as El Rushbo and Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and Mark Levin and Jerry Boyle. And I know some of you are probably saying, Jerry, who? If you've never heard Jerry Boyle, you should look him out. Look him up. Now, some of you will probably understand or know who Jerry Boyle is. He was the security chief, the head of security on the TV show Babylon 5. Yeah, that Jerry Boyle. That's him. Yes. But he's got a highly rated conservative talk show, another not liberal actor out of Hollywood. And he's solidly conservative. I've heard his show a few times, and he's good. And so it puts me in that ranking, and I am very flattered by that. I'm kind of overwhelmed that I should be construed in being the same genre or neighborhood as all of those greats. So let's face it, you know, they're well-known people out there that have been at it for quite longer than I have. And I know I've been at this since 2009, but you know, there are people out there who've been doing this longer. And I'm just happy to be a part of that growing. You know, this country, I know we see every once in a while there is a poll that comes out that kind of shows that the country is leaning left. Well, that's not the case, because all the other polls out there say that the country is pulling to the right. Even to some degree, the millennials are, you know, because the millennials tend to be the children of baby boomers. And baby boomers tend to be a little bit on the, shall we say, liberal side. So, but they're not quite as liberal as their parents or, I guess, grandparents are. And I know we see the Occupy Wall Street type of idiots, and we see, you know, the protesters down there in Baltimore and Ferguson, and you're probably thinking, well, Rod, they're, you know, these young whippersnappers don't know nothing. Well, actually, they're beginning to see that government isn't the answer. Just like there was a poll that was done a couple of months ago that showed that like 59% of African Americans polled said government is the problem, not the answer. 59%. Over half of African Americans polled said government is the problem. So there is some progress being made in that arena, folks. You got to show some happiness and some pride when it comes to that, because we are making some progress. I know for a lot of people, myself included, the progress isn't big enough. It isn't fast enough. But I also understand it. It took us 50 or 60 years to get to this point. We're not going to turn it around in 2 or 4 years. That's just not the way things work. Unfortunately, thankfully, I guess it does work that way, because imagine instead of it taking 50 or 60 years to get to this point of liberalism, what if it only took, one or two terms of somebody being president, like Carter or Clinton? Think about that. If we get the right president, this could set us up for another 12 or 16 years of Republican presidency. Think about it. If we do the right thing, and if we nominate and then elect the right Republican as president, and that Republican nominates and has the right vice president, we could see, simply because of Obama, we could see a 3 or 4 term run of the White House being Republican. I want you to think about that, folks. It could be a 3 to 4 term run. Now, the last time we had this shot at having a 3 or to a 4 term run was Reagan Bush Sr. And then, the Bush Sr. kind of got trounced by Clinton, and then Clinton just proceeded to hand Gore his head, or not Gore, she's not, who I'm talking about. But anyway, so Dole proceeded to throttle Dole, Bob Dole, and then we ended up with, then we got Bush, because people were kind of tired of Clinton, I guess, or they just decided, they didn't want Gore. Thankfully, Clinton decided to pick a very poor candidate to be his vice president, and Gore was just horrendous. There was no way. Well, I suppose in the world of sliders, Gore could have been president, but not in our world. Gore was not going to be president. He was terrible. He was terrible, just terrible. And then, of course, they gave us somebody just like Gore, just as exciting, when they gave us Kerry. And so that's what gave GW 2 terms, is because of Gore and Kerry. I mean, Gore is about as, I love how everybody talks about how Mitt Romney was kind of stiff. Mitt Romney at least had some sort of personality. Stiff compared to whom? You want to compare him to Gore or Kerry? Nah, Romney was not stiff at all. He was very, loose, if you will. But that's who the Democrats gave us. Now we have the opportunity again to run the tables on them, because they're looking at trying to give us, for the Democratic nomination, they're trying to give us Hillary Rodham Clinton. Yeah, look. I always have said that this woman should not be anywhere near the Democratic nomination of president, because there's no way in hell she actually deserves being president of these United States of America. Absolutely not. This woman, she's not qualified. She doesn't deserve it. Plain and simple. For everything that her and her husband have done over the past 20, 30 years, they do not deserve to be in the White House again. Plain and simple. Absolutely not. Do not deserve it. And she's not even nearly qualified as some other people within her own party. And no, I'm not talking about Elizabeth Warren either. I mean, I know some of you crackpots out there might think that Elizabeth Warren is a good alternative choice to Hillary Clinton. Really? In whose world? What has Elizabeth Warren done? She's just, what do we need? Another Harvard professor running around being president, or pretending to be president, trying to be president like the current one? No, we don't need another college professor as president. So that rules Warren out. Besides, she's about as much as a big, humongous kook as that old guy from Vermont. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that would be Bernard or Bernie Sanders. I think it's Bernard, isn't it? The independent who caucuses with the liberal Democrats. Yeah. I know. He said he's independent, but he always... he is... he shouldn't really be independent. He should classify himself for what he is, and that's communist. Plain and simple. And, there are a number of communists out there. Look, there are a number of people out there that want you to believe something that isn't the truth. They want you to believe that Republicans are the wizards of ill will. The Republicans are the ones who want people to be poor. Republicans are the ones that want to cut back on welfare. Republicans are the ones that only cater to the rich. Republicans are the ones that are the racists, the KKK. They found it. I heard today that somebody was arguing with somebody that I know that was trying to argue the point that the KKK was actually a Republican offshoot and created by Republicans. Now, what world does that come from? I mean, even most liberals will acknowledge, and they'll try to hide and bury and obfuscate the fact of where the KKK originated from and what party that they were a part of. But they're not going to deny the fact that KKK didn't come out of the Democrats. No, they like to say that, oh, no. They all left the party in the 60s and went over to the Republicans. That's what they always say. Although there's no proof of that. In fact, there's proof of just the opposite, but that is not the case or the truth. But yet and still, they do. They try to say, well, yeah, maybe. But, that was back then. This is now. And they went over to the Republic after the Democrats passed civil rights. That's when all the racist people in the Democrat Party went over to the Republican Party because the Republican Party didn't want to pass civil rights, which is also another BSing how the Republican Party were the ones that had been trying to pass civil rights for the previous 100 years since the Civil War. But, you tell the story enough, people begin to believe it. Yeah, that's all it takes. Well, that all you got to do is just play it out, and people will think that you are the one who is lying, and that you can't possibly tell who is who is telling you the truth. But, it's kind of amazing that they would go to the length of telling you that they are the party for the people. They're the party for racial equality. They're the party for, all of that type of wonderful kumbaya stuff. And yet, they're not. They're the party of being racist. They're the party that absolutely hates and they're the ones that have done all of this kind of stuff to us, to nobody else. It's one of those things that we have to understand and be aware of, because these people will do anything and everything within their power to try to tell you that, no, it is they who are the ones who are the liberal ones, who are for liberty, not the Republicans. And again, that's a crock.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work
You
until
have
you
reached
keel
the
over,
magnified
have less
view
of
at
everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then
Please leave
just
a
ignore
message
me.
and
But
one
if
of
you'd
our
like to
staff will
protect
call
the
you
money you
back
save,
promptly.
receive a
Thank you.
steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
I do believe that we have our special guest on the line. Hopefully I did everything that I was supposed to do correctly here on my end, and they are there on their end. We have Yoda and Backpack. Are you there, guys?
Yes, sir. We are here. We're broadcasting from an undisclosed location on the border. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for being here, guys. Sorry about the confusion earlier, but the traffic had me running, and I actually got to the show a little bit late, almost on time, but a little bit late. But we wanted to have you on a little bit earlier, but unfortunately, I wasn't going to be here on time, so I didn't want to have people calling in too soon when I wasn't here to answer the phone, but. You guys are now over the weekend. I spent some time with these gentlemen, two fantastic conservative gentlemen, and they are doing a lot of work on the conservative side in the conservative movement, getting the message out and getting the message across. And this gentleman that sounds with the more normal sounding voice is Backpack, and of course the gentleman who's just about to come on, his name is Yoda. He loves to be called Yoda, but he has got this wonderfully deep voice that is very soothing to listen to, and that you just want to listen to him forever. He just has that natural voice, but he's also a military veteran of World War II. And so yesterday was also a day for him. Yoda, are you there, sir?
I sure am. Hi, Rod. Good. Thank you for the compliment. Good to be with you, brother. A note about weekend show when you were gracious enough to come on our show, voicesofglobalfreedom.com. You spiked all of our statistics. They're off the chart. When you came on, emails poured in. So we want to get you back on our show quickly. In addition, your article titled Baltimore Rising is on the Magnified View, our sister magazine, and that's already resulted in thousands of visitors.
Really? Wow.
I told your great gal, Laura, that today. She was excited about it. So we're delighted to be back on with you, Rod. Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm glad I know you guys have a very busy schedule down there in your undisclosed location. Now, you guys are currently working on something that's rather big. Are you at liberty to talk about that a little bit?
We can talk a little bit. We've been in the counter-terrorist business since before it was fashionable. I'm older than a rock, but I missed the Second World War. I started at 15 years old in Korea. I entered the Air Force at 14, obviously underage, but lied about it. So in the early 70s, do you happen to remember the Munich Olympic massacre of Israeli athletes?
I was a little kid, but yes, I remember that.
Beginning then, countries started to form counter-terrorist teams. Before then, there weren't any. The U.S. took special forces of the Army and formed Delta. The Germans converted a border unit, GSG-9, the famous British SAS. I joined a unit, I was a cop, but I joined a unit then that traveled around the world, training these teams that were forming all over the world. We've been in the counter-terrorist business before it was fashionable, Rod. And today, we work with major letter agencies, federal agencies, and local law enforcement. That's how we earn our crust of bread. We're working a case these few days called kidnap extortion. The cartels, and sometimes amateurs, kidnap victims for ransom. It's cheaper than drugs and smuggling. To grow drugs, you got to grow a product in a field somewhere. You need a laboratory. You need smuggling. You need distribution in the United States. Whereas kidnapping, at its low end, you need about 4 guys. At its high end with cartels, you need 30, 40 guys. But today, or these days, we're working what's called kidnap extortion. Is that of interest to you and your fine audience, do you think? Otherwise, we can talk about something else.
No. Actually, that sounds well. It's coming across the border. Are you finding that Americans are being kidnapped?
Yes, and it's a shadow industry. It seldom, even rarely, hits the press or law enforcement. It's a ransom behind the curtain business. Ranges from 4 guys that just grab somebody off the street to highly sophisticated cartels. They have a target selection team. They do surveillance. They have a unit that finally grabs the victim. They have a unit that holds onto him somewhere. And they have professional negotiators. Ransoms range from $3,000 from the thugs to millions of dollars with the cartels. But you very seldom hear about it. Phoenix, Arizona was running 1 a day for a while. 1 a day, Rod.
Why did we not hear about this?
Because victims and the family that ransoms them out doesn't want to go to the press or often to the authorities. So it doesn't come out.
Or southern borders down there, snatching Americans, and I'm gathering that most of the time it isn't Americans snatching Americans, but it's south of the border, probably Mexicans snatching Americans.
Yeah, I don't even know of Americans involved as the bad guys. It's all cartels or thugs.
And it's just a way for them to garner quick cash.
Citizen and the authorities hear about it, it's an FBI case. If it involves the United States and it's not a citizen, then ICE, it's an ICE case. That's how it works.
Okay.
But people are totally unaware of it. In this case, smugglers, human smugglers, often called poyos in the trade, coyotes, bring a guy over. They make sure that he's captured by the Border Patrol. So the guy pays the bad guys to bring him over, who then make sure that he's captured by the Border Patrol. He's then held in detention incommunicado. He can't talk to anyone. The bad guys then call his family and say that they've kidnapped him. So the family believes he's a kidnapped victim. They then, for whatever amount they can judge the family has, often as low as $3,000, the family goes to Western Union and wires the money to them in Mexico. Thereafter, the victim, the guy that's been in detention, is let out and deported across the border. He calls the family and says, well, he didn't make it this time. He was amazed to hear that he was kidnapped. That's a classic kidnap extortion. Other times, a unit will clandestinely surveil a family. They'll take video of some pretty wealthy guy, professional guy's wife and kids. They will then call the victim, often a professional, and say that they're going to kidnap or kill the kids if he doesn't come up with a certain amount of money. That's also a kidnap extortion. Make sense, Rob?
So they actually don't grab the people. They just sort of, kind of like the movies. They say, look, we know your routine. We know your family's routine. We can take them anytime we want unless you give us such and such amount of money.
Exactly. Yeah. Then, of course, there are real kidnappings. As I've said, they range from a couple thugs on the street, for a few grand, up to a sophisticated cartel that highly targets really wealthy people. That can be in the millions. It's a big business. As I said, it's a lot more profitable, easier than drugs.
Do you think, now, because this sounds like this could pretty much resonate in the political realm, do you think that these people could, if they wanted to, easily target our political leaders in the same way, but instead of asking for money, maybe for certain types of political influence?
Question. The cartels are really about money. Unthinkable amounts of money. That's what they do. So they don't want to grab one of our congressmen or senators and stir up a whole lot of activity. You know, they just do what they do. This started with rival cartels kidnapping each other. Then they found out how lucrative it was. So they expanded their business industrial strength to civilian victims. They're currently running through professions. For example, we worked a dentist, a Mexican dentist, pretty wealthy guy, kidnapping, and while he was in custody, they offered him a discount if he would reveal and identify other dentists and where they lived and how easy it would be to grab them. So they work through professions now, business owners, doctors, dentists, like that.
Wow, this is like living down in South America where this type of thing is expected in every day. You don't expect that here in the U.S. of A.
Yeah, Mexico City is the kidnap capital of the world. Phoenix, as I said, was running one a day. Little known.
That's incredible, and all because our borders are too porous.
We don't have borders.
Yeah. If you actually believe some of the liberals, we're just all one big happy family world country. So we shouldn't have borders. We should let our borders down and probably just let anybody who wants to come across. But a
lot of people, Rod, make money on illegals. For example, all manner of government employees, federal, state, city, county, realize they have a job because of illegals. They work with them. The educational system benefits mightily for illegals. Churches are often populated by illegals. Attorneys make a lot of money. There is an incredible black shadow behind the curtain industry that deals exclusively with illegals. They band together and have lobbies, and the lobbies are influential in leaving the border open. So you'll always hear that the Democrats want votes leaving the border open, which is certainly true. And the Republicans want cheap labor. I've never really figured out which big companies, Fortune 500, want to employ illegals, possibly except agriculture. But the border stays open in large part because of the money that people earn from it.
Yeah, that makes sense because it does take money. Well, it takes money for a legal immigrant to come here, stay here, and possibly become a citizen. And so, for an illegal, there's just that added bonus, I guess, for those in the legal system that keeps this permanent wheel of income coming in, I guess. And yeah, I would see how they would probably lobby against less stringent border patrols and border security. But at the same time, we're allowing, now that we know that there are terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda and ISIS that are having camps and building camps in Mexico just across our border. And today we were just there was big news about how ISIS seemed to be overtly seeking a nuclear weapon. Now, we know that Saudi Arabia and I think Jordan were talking about actually buying a nuclear weapon from Pakistan if Iran were to get the bomb. But ISIS was basically saying, yeah, we're in the market to get a weapon as well. And we know what would happen. They would smuggle it across the border and blow up one of our cities with a real nuclear device or a dirty nuclear device. Either way, it'd be just as devastating. So do you really see people down there really getting nervous along the southern border and really wanting to shut it off, or is the money that's flowing across too powerful to stop it?
Yes, it is. Charities exist only because of illegals. Some of them take care of illegals. Others take 95% for admin and executives and give 5%, but they exist because of illegals. Clinics exist because of illegals. So I'm pulling the layers off the onion. You can see where a lot of people make money from them. As for the nuclear thing, you're aware that we recently sold rights to uranium directly to Russia. Thank you, Mrs. Clinton. Backpack and I were in a meeting recently. So Ivan, that's who we call Russians, are giving the uranium now to Iran. A Backpack in a meeting recently suggested that they just send the damn bomb to Iran and be done with all the fuss and middlemen about it.
Well, it definitely seems like our president wants them to be able to have it, in spite of everybody else in the Middle East who's scared to death of a nuclear armed Iran, for good reason, because Iran doesn't really get along well with most of its neighbors. So some of our big allies, such as Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, they realize they'll probably be first on Iran's list after Israel. But then we know Israel is nuked up too, so that could create a whole host of problems. But do you see that ISIS or Al Qaeda being able to get a hold of a nuclear device via Iran, via Russia?
Yes, people smarter than I am. Excuse me. The real intel officers, the real analysts and evaluators see it on the current trend line. If under Obama the trend line is destiny, Iran will have 5-10 kiloton nuclear bombs or so-called dirty bombs. They will in turn give it to Hezbollah. Of course. Hezbollah, not generally known by the public, is enormous. It has banks and schools and mosques, and it's like a city-state within a state. You hear a lot about Hamas due to the press, but Hezbollah is enormous. So the scenario is, or one of hundreds of scenarios, we allow Iran to get the bomb. We're certainly doing that. They give it to Hezbollah. Hezbollah, through any number of vehicles or conduits, land one in Tel Aviv, probably another one in New York or Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Well, if they land one in Washington, D.C., they'd get rid of some of their support. Do you think
that was funny, Rob?
If they do that, though, do they not? I guess it would just really I can't really see whoever the president is that the American people would actually put up with being nuked. Do you think that would set off the American people and we'd actually go and get these people finally?
You can undoubtedly answer that better than I do because I'm in the forest with all the trees. since 74. So we've been concerned, and the real counterterrorists have asked each other for decades, why aren't they here yet in strength? By that I mean a dirty bomb, active shooters, or vehicle-borne explosives. And the founding editor-in-chief of the Magnified View magazine recently came up with one, her name's Janorama, that no one's ever thought of. Specific to ISIS, their prize target is Saudi. Not only do they get the oil, but they inherit Mecca and Medina. Mecca progresses their caliphate eons forward. The Quran says that each and every Muslim on earth must support a military caliphate. If they get a hold of Mecca, where they pray to 5 times a day from around the world, it's an enormous value for them. So back to Janorama, our founding editor-in-chief of our millions viewer MagnifiedView.com. She holds that they're now taking over the Middle East. Next big target, Saudi. And were they to attack here in some strength, meaning active shooters, vehicle-borne explosives, whatever, the American public would react. Obama would have to finally do something, especially if they attack one of his golf courses or fundraising. So they're letting us alone for the moment while they take over the Middle East. I've shared her backpack, shared her idea, a new idea, with some really heavy insiders that we've worked with for years, and they agree with her. So that's our answer to why it isn't here yet, or one of the answers.
One of the things we're seeing in the Middle East now that is really popped up is that Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Israel have a pact together. That's a breaking story.
Yes, they've. It has been rumored that Saudi Arabia and Jordan have offered or backdoor dealed a deal where the Israeli Air Force would be able to have airspace to fly in a pattern that would allow them to attack from the air Iran, should that be Israel's path of choice. Now, I find that interesting. Maybe not so much with Egypt, even though Egypt has often said death to Israel, but Egypt was also one of the first Middle Eastern countries to actually make peace with Israel. Everybody remember it, and give credit where credit is due for Jimmy Carter for bringing that together. That's about the only good thing the man ever did while he was in office, was able to broker that, bring those two together like that. But there was that deal back, was it 78, 79, that allowed some smidgen of hope for peace to appear in the Middle East, and I think that may have opened the door for people, or for nations like the Saudis, to say, yeah, well, we might need to do something like this as well if we're going to save our own skin, I guess. But I think it's on shaky ground, but I think when the Saudis realize that, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and so therefore, if Israel is my enemy, but Iran's my bigger enemy, and Iran and Israel don't like each other, maybe I should back Israel a little bit, so they can, be the big bully against Iran and protect us. Hold on, guys. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Kaf for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons. after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the Seven Kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm. Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the Seven Kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the young Baratheons for freedom. Robb Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Robb Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Robb Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall. This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven Ultra Lipo Stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra Lipo Stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra Lipo Stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow liberty lovers all across this planet. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I checked again today, as I do almost every day. It is Tuesday, May the 26th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we roll along into hour number 2 with my special guest here today, Yoda and Backpack. Now, Yoda has something that I kind of loved. When I spent some time with these guys over the weekend, and they're a couple of great people, great Americans, doing some great American work for America. But Yoda has these things that he calls, instead of antidotes, he calls them Yoda-dotes. And I just thought that was a very unique yet actually hilarious way of talking about anecdotal information that he has, and he has a lot of it. If you'd like to call and speak to them directly this evening, the toll-free number is 603-835-3224. And right now, I just want to bring Yoda and Backpack back on. Are you guys still there?
We are indeed.
Again, thank you for joining us again.
I've been chasing terrorists around forever. I'm older than a rock. Backpack was what he calls a computer commando in the cubicle, like that. He left that 4 years ago. He was making a lot of money in computers for large companies and government, sold all his stuff, gave a lot of stuff away to charity, and he's traveled hither and yon, coast to coast, back and forth for 4 years. Lived in four-star hotels, and he lived in hostels. So he became a street-savvy journalist. Fabulous guy that my pleasure to work with, brother. So we appear on air under our pseudonyms, Backpack and Yoda, because we still are operational with federal agencies and cops, and we don't want a front yard full of cartels.
Well,
for your audience benefit.
that
Backpack,
makes a lot of sense.
Uncovered one recently I know you and your audience will be interested in. Excuse me, bro. Throughout the United States, there are Islamic terrorist training camps. Have you happened to hear about them, Ross?
Throughout where now?
The United States.
Oh, yes.
Backpack was instrumental with a vehicle, the magnifiedview.com, in exposing those. So I'd like him to tell you about it.
Yeah, what we're seeing is from sea to shining sea, at least 35 confirmed, but many more in the Moss. They are saying ISIS is in all 50 states. But these are rural areas. They're cordoned off by fences, and oftentimes are run by Muslims who are in prison, and they get extra benefits. They might have been Christian, but they quickly learn they'll get extra benefits through prison to be converted to Muslim, and so they'll come out of the camps, and they're hardened felons oftentimes, and they'll go to these camps where they have dummies set up to do small arms fire training. They have buses, and there's a famous Pakistani, infamous really, he's out of Pakistan, is helping funnel money in to support these camps. Their main headquarters is in Islamburg, which is Hancock, New York. It's in the Catskills Mountains. That's the main command center. It's called Muslims in America. We have a website set up it's called terrorcamps.com. It's devoted to a lot of other reports from around the country. The amazing thing is all this training with AK-47s and blowing up buses, and it's in these rural areas that Yoda and I were just discussing that they should be raided and shut down. But through the abomination, he is preventing that by saying that it's communal living. He's not allowing them to raise the report. So we're shocked. We've had other national security advisors on Voices of Global Freedom who are also saying the same thing. They want to raise cases. They're not allowed to because abomination says you can't use the word Islam or terror together in a report. It's just really shocking, Rod.
So really what these people are doing is they're hiding right under our own noses right now, and they're kind of taunting the American people. Now, in some states, I know that the so-called civilian state militias have grown pretty large and pretty powerful in their own right. What is preventing an all-out war with this?
It's not there yet, Rod. I've found in decades of experience, we Americans are slow. We finally wake up and we get into things late. In my opinion, good guys like you and your lovely agent, Laura, you're busy. You're working hard, bro. People like you, the good guys, the conservative patriots, are working hard. The other guys, the free stuff guys, are sitting around, torn T-shirt, telling some gal to bring them a beer. They're not interested. But something finally occurs, like the First World War, the Second World War, and the good guys stand up. You've got 800,000 plus cops. They're going to stand up. You've got 22 million plus veterans and their families. They're going to stand up. Guys like Rod are going to stand up. Militias are a two-sided sword, really. They're often well-meaning, and really what it ends up as is sworn law enforcement, as on the border, has to protect them. So militias, however well-meaning, not really trained, go on the border, and what it winds up as is Border Patrol has to protect them instead of catching bad guys. Make sense, Rod?
Yeah, so I guess basically we're kind of lucky that so far they haven't tried to unleash their version of an anti-holy war on these people. But I don't, when I hear about this kind of stuff, and I see what's going on in the world, not just the United States, and we have some of our allies, our friends, are telling us that this stuff is happening within their countries as well. I mean, places like France and Belgium, they're having a terrible time with Muslims. Cameron is now proposing legislation in England that would basically anybody who's an illegal, he wants to cap their immigration. He thinks that there's too many Middle Eastern people in England already, but he wants to cap the immigration of that. Plus, anybody who is caught there illegally, doesn't matter who they are, he wants legislation that would force them to confiscate all of their income and assets they made while being in England. And I thought that was, bold. Whether he gets it or not is yet to be seen. But that would be kind of an interesting type of thing for somebody here to propose. And I would like to see them go even further. That if somebody were to employ, and I know this would probably never happen, but if somebody were to employ an illegal immigrant, and that illegal immigrant were to be caught, I don't care where he's from. He could be from the Middle East. He could be from Mexico. He could be from Brazil. He could be from, Greece for all I care. If he got here illegally and he was earning a living here illegally, that he would have to forfeit all his ill-gotten gains. Because let's face it, people have been caught up, American citizens have been caught up in these drug forfeiture cases. Somebody has a joint under the seat of their car and they lose their car. So why isn't that these illegals can get away with keeping everything, all their ill-gotten gains? So why don't we do that here, as well as punish the employer who's ever employing them by saying, okay, well, if this person made, $20,000, if you paid them $20,000 worth of here, then not only is that illegal going to lose $20,000, but now you're going to be fined $20,000 for paying them. I think that might also cause a lot of illegals to either stay home or go home. Do you think something like that is ever possible?
No. Because, as we said earlier, all of the people making money on illegals. I dare to ask you a question, and we had a grand time with you on our program Saturday night, and you took it over the top. I told you what your last article did on the magnifiedview.com. Why? I understand Little Holland. I lived in Europe a total of, 16 years. I understand how easy it was to take over Little Holland, maybe with 7 million, but why are we expressing fear of these Muslims? Irving, Texas recently allowed Sharia law. The Obama Nation, thank you, Backpack, that's his handle for Obama, is, of course, not only soft on Islam, hell, he's probably a part of it. He's still hanging out with the Muslim Brotherhood. He's hanging out with CARE without apology. But generally, why are we accepting these Muslims, the pending caliphate, and their terrorism, right? You made some brilliant comments Saturday night. I'll bring one up in a minute. What's your thought of why we're putting up with this, bro?
I often go back and forth about things like that. And one, I think it's because, we're supposed to be an accepting nation. Bring us your huddled masses, that type of thing. And they're also not Christian. And it seems like, the country is, the liberal left is very anti-Christian. And even though that, Christians are supposed to be highly accepting and forgiving of every sin under the planet, simply because that's what the left tells us our religion is all about, is forgiving. So that's why we have to accept all kinds of things that we don't like, from gay marriage to what have you, abortion. We're supposed to be that over-the-top forgiving, so we're not supposed to stand up for what we believe in, because then it would be kind of us being hypocritical, so they tell us. And they're the ones that are which I go back and forth with liberals on this sometimes, is that you do realize that you're supporting a religion that would get rid of you first. You're an infidel. And the funny thing is that they don't see it that way. They think because they're being accepting and open that they would accept them. And I don't know if it's just plain stupidity, or if it's something else at play.
My personal experience is it's cowardice. Flat. That's what it is. You know, just give them some more stuff and maybe they won't kill me. I've seen that around. You're seeing it now in many respects in Iraq and Syria.
Yeah, you know, you just go ahead and if you accept them, if you allow them to do whatever they want, they'll leave you. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, type of thing. But I say that, and then over the weekend I was having another more conversation with some other liberals, and I started to think, well, maybe they're just stupid. I kind of had to rethink. Well, I kind of believe what you just said about cowardice. That if we just leave them alone, they'll leave us alone. The live and let live type of mentality. But knowing what Islamists believe and feel towards the infidel, and they haven't been shy about it, and especially when it comes to the fact that liberals are very big on supporting alternative lifestyles, no matter what it is. In abortion and things like that. And Islam is absolutely dead set against all of that. To me, it has to be more than cowardice after speaking with these people over the weekend. It just has to be plain stupidity. There's got to be something else there.
I don't know. In Backpack's 4-year journey back and forth across the country, including staying in hostels, he was virtually on the street quite a while. He met a lot of them. Maybe he can. What makes him tick, Backpack?
Well, a lot of them are wanting to replace the United States flag with the United Nations flag, and they want to have a world government and kumbaya and play the guitar. Recently that James Taylor became famous because he came in and played a little ditty for Obama about it's all love and peace. And I think a lot of them are actually smoking pot, and in general, it was a lot of the Occupy movement was just really they just want to have fun, party, have a Woodstock and just have orgies and just one of the things I always like to point out is we have freedom of expression in this country as part of our country, but we also have freedom of morality, and that part of being conservative, Christian, patriotic is we really have to bring up the freedom of morality.
Good point, though.
And that's been tremendously suppressed. The freedom of expression, it's like the lady who's blind with a scale, and unfortunately the freedom of morality has gotten pushed down, and the freedom of expression, which is the liberals, have pushed it down.
Well said, Doctor.
Thank you.
So if now, I fully understand the whole one world government, UN type of thing, but do they realize that Muslims would want that one world government to be Islamic? And is there any
yeah, they want a caliphate, and anything that gets in their head, they're going to cut off heads. No question about that.
Exactly. So it wouldn't be a UN flag; it'd be an Islamic flag.
Precisely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would there be any other nation? Would there be any other nation to stand up against these people?
Empire, of course, out of Turkey, of course.
Yeah. So, I guess here comes. I was asking the question: would there be any other nation that would be able to stand up against these people if the United States subjugated itself to such a thing? And I guess one of the first people that comes to mind would be the communist Chinese, but I'm not so sure. Look, all the other people out there who would also probably stand up against an Islamic world also have flags that are red.
Sure.
So I don't. Where do they think all of this is? I mean, there is no kumbaya in the former Soviet Union. That's why it's the former Soviet Union. There is no kumbaya still, really politically speaking, in China. China's opened up in as far as their economic policy is concerned, which is why they've become such an economic juggernaut in such a short period of time. plus 1.3 billion people. But at the same time, they still don't have the type of freedom that Americans think that the Chinese now have and enjoy. They really don't. They're still an oppressed people. So where are they getting the notion that everything is going to be free love, kumbaya type of thing? Because, the Chinese don't like Islam any more than they like Christianity or Judaism or any other religion. Putin is not a religion fan, and especially, he's had his own issues with Islamic terrorists in Russia. So I don't understand where they think all this is going to be kumbaya type of stuff.
Well, one of the three stooges, Lenin, Engels, Marx, and Stalin, one of them said that religion is the opiate of the people. So communism, as you inferred, replaces religion. All of the stands below Russia, in addition to Russia, are Muslim, in addition to Chechnya. All of the backwoods around the People's Republic, which is never people's, are Muslim. So, as you inferred or said, they will act immediately and harshly on it when they get ready. They're not going to put up with it either. And it's cultural. No one wants the New World Order, even, take little Honduras, just as an odd example. They're not going to have an amalgam of Chinese and Germans and whoever knows telling them what to do. It's just absurd. It's not going to happen. Could happen down the line with the caliphate. It has in the past. That's why the Knights Templar came into being. They did a good job.
Yeah, well, that's a part of history that is often twisted. We're told that King Richard and a few of the other English kings, they invaded the Middle East. Not people not realizing, the Middle East was invaded by the Muslims because they came after Judaism and Christianity. They came after. And I know that a lot of people like to think, Islam has always been there. Well, no, out of the three major religions, it's the youngest, it's the newest. It wasn't always there. And I know people always talk about, the Muslims were there first, so the Jews should give up. No, that's not. I don't know where that comes from. There were no Muslims back around the ancient Roman time period, but there were Hebrews, Jews, Israel, and I don't understand. Well, if it's we hear people in this country talk about, the white man stole the land from the Native American simply because the Native American was here first. Well, if it's all about who's there first. Well, shouldn't a great part of the Middle East actually belong to the Hebrew, the Jew, because they were there way before Islam was even thought of being born into a religion. I don't know where they come from with this kind of stuff, and I don't know why it always has to be this sort of whoever was there first type of mentality, because I don't think there's any place in the world that is now ruled by the original people that were there, if you want to say original people. You kind of want to bang your head up against a wall when you're talking to people like this, though. So I try, gentlemen. I really try.
You don't.
We're going to go to break in just a couple of seconds here. But when we come back, what I'd like for you guys to do is really explain more about your program that you have on the air and your various publications and websites, because I know you have a few of them. You probably have some favorite ones out there that you're behind, you like to deal with, and I know that one of them is now printing some of my articles, which I'm very grateful for, and I'm glad that they're gaining some traction. So as soon as we come back,
we'd like to talk a little bit about Obama's war on your local cops, if you will.
We'll cover that as well. So
all right.
Hang on, guys, when we will be right back.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
Rod Eccles Show.
Continuing my conversation with Yoda and Backpack. Guys, you wanted to begin this segment talking about Mr. Obama and his war on police. Now, I understand today that the Cleveland, Ohio Police Department has agreed basically to be taken over by the Federal Justice Department. Now, I was kind of shocked by this. We don't have a federal local police force. You know, we have the FBI and things like that, but they're more concerned about bigger crimes, not dealing with your everyday street crime. But now it seems like they're getting involved in that, and they want to be at least partially running and overseeing the Cleveland, Ohio Police Department. Where is this coming from? Is this Obama trying to get his version of the brown shirts out there before he leaves office?
Well said, Rod. If you look back, Hitler's brown shirts became the black shirts. I was in the occupation of Germany. I was there 30 days before. I lived and worked with German cops for 11 months. Anyway, it's Castro. It's Stalin with the Cheka. They were Stalin's brown shirts. Sure. Obama is dedicated to replacing local coppers with feds. How are we doing it? There's a $99 million facility in Georgia. Let me do a parenthesis. Please, audience, go to your search engine and look this up. Don't listen to me. You listen to the Backpack a little bit. Please do your own research and find out what we're saying is fact. It's called a MOUT facility, Military Operations in Urban Terrain. He's taking all his DHS elements, FEMA, Transportation Security, the Coast Guard, Secret Service, go on and on and on. Even NOAA, the National Oceanographic. The post office has 700-odd armed inspectors. He's running them through there for riot control training and detention camp incarceration training. This is fact. He continues to run them through. The thing has a subway, this facility. So he's assembling an armed federal force against the posse comitatus law to have federal troops or people enforcing city, county, and state laws. But he's doing this. He's being successful with it. Started in Ferguson, went on to Baltimore, as your lovely article we're blowing out on our magazine, magnifiedview.com, is doing for your lovely... That's what he's doing. So we've gone into an area we cops call de-policing. What the police are now intimidated with this ridiculous militarization of the police and all this nonsense. Backpack's got something to play for your audience here, Brother Rod.
Okay.
This is for all our proud men and women in uniform who are playing the soccer, supervising the soccer, and your next door neighbor putting on that uniform every morning.
Policeman. A policeman is a composite of what all men are, I guess, a mingling of saint and sinner, dust and deity. What that really means is that they are exceptional, they are unusual, they are not commonplace. Buried under the froth is the fact, and the fact is that less than 0.5% of policemen misfit that uniform, and that is a better average than you'd find among clergymen. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted, a strangely nameless creature. bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which would require months for a lawyer, but if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident, infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform and without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. The policeman from a single human hair must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal is hiding, but if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. He runs files and writes reports until his eyes ache to build a case against some felon who will get dealed out by a shameless Seamus. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. And of course he'll have to be a genius because he'll have to feed a family on a policeman's salary.
What do you think, Rod?
That was a voice from the past who tells us the rest of the story. And I think he pretty much hit the nail on the head, and especially with the notion that so few policemen turn out to be bad cops, if you will, that the percentage is even less than what happens in the clergy, especially what we've experienced in the Catholic clergy over the past 20 years. Absolutely correct. I mean, these are people that even people who do not like them call them when they are needed. So it's a tough job. It's a really tough job. And yeah, we have to be vigilant to make sure that the so-called bad cops are found out honestly and then weeded out so that all of the rest of the good cops can do their job without fear of reprisal every time they do their job, and when they do their job justly and rightfully and legally. Otherwise, you end up with what's happening in Baltimore, in Ferguson. I mean, what do we want? Do these people, the people in these cities, do they want anarchy? That's all I can think of, because it doesn't make any sense in any other vein that they could possibly want something else. They say that they want peace and they want justice, but yet they go out there and they rob, they pillage, they destroy, they burn. And I don't know how they think that is justice. Maybe
observe, Rod, observe that the mayor, with Obama's urging, turned Baltimore, as in your article, over into the Crips gang, the Bloods, and an Islamic gang. He literally turned over the streets of Baltimore. Backpack was in a copper meeting this morning, and he can tell you what's going on in and around San Diego here.
We have done a survey across the country on Obama's war on police. He intends to replace them with feds, and this is from a supervising agent from a large Midwest city. Numbers for all of our police academies around here are down significantly, and the recruiters are pulling their hair out. The senior guys who are eligible to retire are doing so. Even if they really want to stay, they are afraid of the risk to their future if they are involved in a perceived bad arrest or incident. I am glad one of our personal friends is glad that they're nearing the end of their career and not just starting out, because they can't think of a single colleague that they work with from any agency who hasn't expressed the same sentiment. No cop wants to stand by and watch something happen, but when measured against the risk of losing everything and destroying their family, if things are perceived as being wrong, or the subject makes false accusations which are assumed true and no one tries to disprove, what a crazy mixed up place we have come to. So unfortunately, what's going on in the world or in the U.S. is just unbelievable, but try to look on the bright side. Unfortunately, we're in this mess and this ongoing assaults on law enforcement. One of our really close friends we've had on Voices of Global Freedom many times is the great Lieutenant Randy Sutton, who was 30 years in Las Vegas, most decorated Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and he is the national spokesman for American Council on Public Safety. And please go check out their website, www.defendingtheshield.org. Great guy, and he's a great person to have on your show, Rod. A wonderful guy. He's doing amazing things to help the Thin Blue Line.
That's it. Well, it takes a lot of work to do that, and these people do this kind of thing because they believe in the American way, and the American way is really about fairness and true justice. For the most part, I believe that most Americans still believe that justice should be blind. It shouldn't care what you look like. It can't see you. All it is because we're supposed to be a nation of laws, not a nation of men. And we see that things get screwed up when men start to rule instead of governed by the rule of law. Right now we have an administration that is trying to rule instead of govern by the rule of law. They issue all these caliphates, otherwise known as executive orders. They've had it's kind of amazing how this time around in his second term, everybody's kind of forgotten about all of Obama's czars that are still there and still quite intact and active. All of a sudden, you would think that they no longer exist, but they're still there, and they're the ones that continually advise him as to on executive orders. They're the ones that say, yes, you should do this. If Congress doesn't give you exactly what you want, then you should issue this kind of executive order so you can get more of what you want. And now we have a new attorney general that believes that she should do whatever the president says, not what the law says, i.e. the Constitution. I'm gonna back and run the department based on what the president tells me to do, and not what the Constitution tells me to do. They're open about this now. There's no more hiding it. There's no more backdoor type of stuff or in secret hall or in secret meetings. They're out. She said it right there on the open floor when she was, when they were doing questioning her for her confirmation. She said it right there in the open. And nobody out there was like, trying to run and hide and say, oh, my God, I can't believe, there was no facepalm moment. It was as if it was finally, everybody was saying, OK, it's finally out there. That's great. Now everybody knows. And they seem to be operating by the fact that nobody cares. I mean, am I perceiving that correctly, gentlemen?
Here's how it's working now, brother. Police respond to a crime scene. Backpack picked this up this morning. Now, in Baltimore, like your article, and up there in San Diego, we're at the border at the moment anyway. Police report to a crime, homicide, right, whatever crime scene, and they rope off the crime scene. Now, through telephones, cell phones that Obama gave them, they quickly organize like a fishbone, and 30 or more will show up. These are either blacks or Latinos or whatever we're calling them now. Right. Recently, at a homicide scene, about 30 showed up, standing outside the roped-off area, and didn't one show up with a pistol in his waistband? These are not the brightest bulbs in the tree. But at some point, as in Cleveland, I was a Cleveland cop 100 years ago. As in Cleveland or Baltimore or Ferguson or New York or San Diego, if they can orchestrate that it's this bad, that will give the abomination, however outside the law and posse comitatus, this will give him the ability to stick feds in. Does that make sense? I didn't pick up that piece on Cleveland that you spoke about earlier, the best location in the nation. But that's a bad sign. Where'd you pick that up, Rod?
That actually, believe it or not, came across my news feed via Yahoo News. And it was rather shocking to me early. It was one of the first things that came across early in the day. It was like late morning, and I had to read it twice because I didn't believe what I read the first time, and I was sure that Yahoo made a mistake, but no, I read the full article, and they did not make the mistake. And let's face it, Yahoo is not exactly a conservative news publication. It's rather liberal in their slant. So when you have a liberal organization or a liberal news group talking about the way they were talking about it, it has to. Well, it's probably a lot worse than what they're actually presenting. So, but I found it interesting since we got on this topic that is already happening, and it seems like there isn't an outrage for this, and maybe it's just because it's not being broadcast widely yet, but it would seem to me that people would be highly outraged that their local police department could now be taken over by the Justice Department out of Washington.
Yeah, well, here they come. They'll come from 1,000 miles away. That's part of the charm. So they don't know the area. They don't have alliances. They don't know beats. They haven't made friends. And it is the way of Hitler's way. It simply is. Bad stuff, brother. It's the next step on the ladder, of course, to martial law. Backpack and I have found with civilians, they really don't know what martial law is. We do because we've lived under it, around the world, but that's clearly the next step on the ladder to total control. In our sphere are several general officers, recently retired people from the CIA and other agencies, and they are all saying, independent of each other, often on our radio program, Voices of Global Freedom, that they know from their recent service that this is Abomination's plan. Whether he can do that or not, we'll see. Cleveland's a bad sign, though. It's a big step on the ladder, Rob.
There are lots of people who have been sounding the alarm about Obama possibly trying to institute martial law as a way for him to continue being president beyond his tenure, his stated term.
Yeah.
At first, I used to think, no, that's, you guys are kind of being a little overly sensitive about this guy. Yeah, he's bad, but really he can't be that bad. Well, I have to say, I have to eat crow because that's one of the rare instances where I have been wrong. The man is that bad. And I guess I didn't like to think that an American could be that bad, that evil. And frankly, that's how I describe. It's just pure evilness there. I mean, you don't care about your own people. You're only there for your own enrichment, your own enjoyment, and to do whatever the hell that you want to do, regardless of what. And we saw this with Obamacare. No, the vast, overwhelming majority of the American people didn't want Obamacare, so they passed it in the dead of night over a holiday week. So the American people couldn't really stand up and say, foul, because by the time they woke up on New Year's, hey, we got it. Well, we got Obamacare. And this seems to be par for the course in how he does a lot of things, and that he tries to sneak this stuff in there via executive order or via regulation. I mean, just this past holiday weekend, last Friday, another 2,800 regulations were dumped on us. On a Friday document dump. What is that? Yeah, that's not how you govern. That's how you rule.
Communism and Islam must crash a society they're going to take over. They can't take over Switzerland. Everybody lives pretty good there. So their first objective, per Eccles manifesto, is to crash the society that's in. They replace it then with communism. Backpack's got a great backpack-a-dote about what's happening to an officer here now. He picked up this morning.
So we're just seeing now that officers have recorders that are stored in the cloud, in the servers, in the sky, so to speak.
Cameras.
So they're walking around with cameras and recorders now. That's a new thing. And officers at first were not happy about it, but now they're starting to accept it and see the value in having that.
You remember the guy's story you told me about the house and being sued?
Oh yeah, unfortunately, one of our great officers, he was in a house, and the perpetrator, the bad guy, was hiding in the bathroom. So he rolled him up, handcuffed him, carted him off. Next thing he knows, the owner of the house is actually suing him in civil court, and this has been going on for 2 years now. He's unfortunately got this giant anvil of a civil lawsuit hanging over his head by the owner of the house. That is just unbelievable.
Rod, he saved the owner from becoming a hostage. Are you with me? From the bad guy. Takes the bad guy out of the house. The owner of the damn house, upper middle class, probably 700,000, I don't know, is suing the officer individually for coming into his house. You like that one, Rod?
What? That makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense. No, that doesn't make any sense.
I know. But you get the wrong jury now. This is civil.
Yeah, so
You
this guy could
get the wrong
possibly
jury,
lose.
and the copper no longer has a house or a car. There you go. His wife will not be happy about this.
This is the
kind of
direction,
today.
the direction
So-
that we're fighting. And it's really going to take a concerted conservative effort to elect more and more conservative people, not only to the national level of the House of Representatives and the Senate, but also to the presidency, as well as Tip O'Neill said, locally, because all politics is local.
Yeah.
Guys, I really want to thank you for joining me here tonight. You know, I don't normally do this on my program, but it has been a genuine pleasure, and we really need to do this again because we're just about out of time for today. And I promise you, next time I will not be late to the microphone, so we'll have the full 2 hours instead of abbreviated 90 minutes because we definitely need. There's some other stuff I want to get into, but thanks for joining me, guys.
Well, we're eager to get you back on Voices of Global Freedom. Thanks for the opportunity to work with you, brother.
Thank you, Rod.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
God bless.
We'll be back here tomorrow, same bat time, folks. Same bat channel. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.